So earlier today, Megabeatman uploaded his review of Sonic the Hedgehog in Your Face, which, of course, as he mentioned, is the very first 48-page special that they ever released. Now, I got this initially when it came out, believe it or not. I got this actually when my mom visited back, I think, what was it, 95? Yeah, 95. She came out to visit when I was living in Kansas, living with my dad. I was still in high school. And she bought me this along with issue 29 of Sonic the Hedgehog, which was, of course, the issue where Sally got temporarily, not permanently, temporarily roboticized. And basically, what Megabeatman said in his review, I do agree with. The first story, which is the Quest story, definitely is a changing of the guard. Basically a major transition from the silly and the goofiness that was hybrided, merged in, if you will, with the characters of Sonic SatAM. You know, you could definitely tell that the first story was, you know, that transition, that major transition from the silliness to the more serious. I mean, you still had your comedic moments here and there, like he said, depending on the artist and the writer at that time, whether it was one and the same, or if not, you know, a writer and then basically the artist doing, you know, the style they know the best, or at least at that time. You can kind of tell that, you know, although you still saw it afterwards, as he mentioned, that this story here was a major transition, the first story. Even though the backup stories were similar in tone to the hybrid, you know, mergedness of the SatAM characters and the adventures atmosphere, the main story was like that major, you know, changing of the guard, major transition in tone, and you wouldn't fully get that until we got to issue 25 and then onward, if you will, you know, as the issues went on. Especially, like I said, with one of the issues that I got along with it, which was issue 29. Now, besides that. He did bring up a few things that kind of made me, you know, really think about it, because I didn't really think about it at first. But there are similarities to several Sonic SatAM episodes that I actually liked. One of the similarities that he mentioned was, you know, Sonic and the Secret Scrolls from the first season, which I look at as the actual season finale for season 1 due to the way it's structured and everything. And basically, the identical similarness that he pointed out was the fact that the characters were going on a quest. And with the characters going on a quest, you know, for in the case of the episode, for the scrolls that contain the 7 Wonders of Mobius, or the secrets of the 7 Wonders of Mobius, it was very similar to, you know, the quest that they went on here to find a scroll that Juliana, Sally's mentor, who passed away in the stories that preluded In Your Face, had left behind for her. And he did reference and review those stories as well, because they were, like I say, preludes in the backup stories, even as backup stories, I should say, in issues 17 and 18. They were basically preludes to In Your Face, but like the main story in Your Face, were transitional, you know, stories. From the, like I said, the sillier tone to the more serious SatAM tone. And when you read the main story, and then, like I said, issues that would come afterwards, you know, down the line, like starting with 25 and going onwards, you start to feel that SatAM tone shifting into the book. Like, it felt like, well, basically it felt like, what I'm trying to say is, it felt like you were reading an actual episode of Sonic SatAM, which is how the first story here felt like. And I was surprised he brought that up. He also brought up Rosie and how her first appearance, of course, was in Blast of the Past, and as well as with the King. You know, that was their first visual on-screen appearances. You know, so again, that was, you know, a real surprise. Like, oh yeah, you know, I didn't make that connection, because, you know, Blast of the Past came out before this, before this comic did, and before issues 17 and 18 did. But again, I did not see that connection until now. Like, oh, okay, there is some similarities, if you will. He also brought up the fact that Nicole was utilized here in this story just the same way, if not similarly, to how she was utilized in the Sonic and the Secret Scrolls, which again was a cool little tidbit I didn't really touch upon or connect, when I read this book or watched the episode, but I do see now that similarity. But if there's one thing I think he didn't really connect, though, was the similarity to how in this story we find out at the end of the main story that Sally, her future self, is the one that sent Nicole into the past to help her younger self, her past self, that would go on the quest to basically, become, the leader she is, become the leader that she would become down the line. And basically, the similarities that we see between that, or at least I see between that, is just like future Sally sent Nicole into the past to help her younger self, the past present Sally in Blast of the Past Part 2, because Rosie recognizes her, and it probably, or does, I should say, realize she's from the future. That Sally, that future Sally, basically told Rosie, don't go anywhere, don't leave Knothole, stay there, promise me you're going to do it. And Rosie keeps that promise. So basically, Sally, keeps Rosie from roboticization, which originally happened to her in the original timeline. And basically, because the future Sally kept the past Rosie from leaving, it kept Rosie, around during the duration, easy for me to say there, during the duration, of them growing up in Knothole and training to be freedom fighters and all that, which would explain later on in episodes, like, let's say, Druid Hedge, where Sonic would, trying to what's the word I'm trying to say, when he was trying to, be a reference for Tails to go on the mission with them back to Druid Hedge to get the Power Stones. Sonic basically acknowledged that he used to go solo when he was 10 years old, and Sally had to basically counter that by saying, yeah, without permission, which ties into Rosie being there when they were growing up, because in the original timeline she wasn't, and there you go. But anyway, as strange as that similarity may sound between future Sally sending Nicole into the past to help her past present self, Sally making Rosie promise not to leave Knothole was basically a changing of the guard, and was basically her future self keeping someone of an adult status around to keep themselves, and most importantly Sonic, in check, while watching over them in Knothole, if you will. Again, I know it sounds like a strange comparison, but it's true. But overall, In Your Face is definitely everything he says it is. It's definitely a good story, and like he said, and I do agree, it's definitely a changing of the guard. It's definitely a major transition in tone, and we would see that transition continue on, like I said, later on in the books, but we'd also see the transition still really start to grow within the Sally arc of the entire thing, because we would see it with the two, as I mentioned earlier, I think, the two, I didn't mention this earlier, but basically this would continue on with issues 19 and 20 with the backup stories that served as preludes to the Sally miniseries. And then the Sally miniseries would really take on that aesthetic as well. But then, of course, the ending was one that some fans were very like, yeah, what is this about? And then, of course, what Ken Penders said later on in the interview with Midnight's Edge last year, I think kind of confirmed exactly why they would do that kind of stuff and everything as well. But yeah, I just wanted to do this video. I know it sounded like I rambled a little bit. I was out today taking care of stuff, so I might sound a little tired. I was walking back and forth taking care of stuff today. But yeah, and it's warm, kind of humid, so it didn't help either. But yeah, I just wanted to do this video as a response to Megabeatman, his review. And I've got a feeling he's going to basically save the information about Sally being, Sega's plans, original plans for Sally being on par with Sonic, to talk about when he does the Sally miniseries as a review down the line. But again, that's all I wanted to say, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Comment if you like. Like the video, live chat during the premiere. What did you think of the Sonic in Your Face story, the main story that is, and how it basically, changed the guard, if you will, as far as tone in the book is concerned? What were your thoughts? Again, live chat during the premiere. Comment below. Like the video. Check out my Teespring store down below for merchandise and everything, where you can find an actual shirt that I put together that helps support the whole hashtag Rally for Sally deal. Just check that out. And that's all I'm going to say, guys. Also, check out my podcast at your favorite podcast affiliates like Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, you name it, with the exception of Pandora. You can find me at most audio podcast locations, as well as check out my Patreon at BW Rosas as well. And the podcast are known as BW Rosas Discussions if you're interested. But until then, guys, I will talk to y'all later. And until then, I am out.